Good afternoon, everybody. Brian Martin with you. Another demonstration video demonstrating today Let's Play Tennis by PLAAY Classic. This was part of Keith's annual holiday sale. And every year he has a game that he comes out with that is usually only offered as a special for the holiday season. This year it's Let's Play Tennis. And as you might suspect, it's a game based on player qualities and ratings, etc., etc. And won't get into how the rules of the game. Keith calls this a toolbox because this particular game kit includes a way to play the game point by point. It allows you to play just for the set, which means that you are setting yourself up for the deciding game or two of a match, or you can do the fast forward module, which gets you in individual games to a certain scoring point, and then you can play the game point by point. The for the set module, which we're going to use here, also allows you to get the match to a certain point, and then you can flip over and play the remaining games in the set as a point by point thing. But what we're going to do today is just play sets fairly quickly, just to give you a feel for how the for the set module works, and most importantly, to set it up for what is coming down the road from yours truly. There is no how-to guide. No how-to guide. I have no insight into the ratings programs, the ratings that are used for the game. But I'm going to be designing card sets based on World Team Tennis from the 1970s, and it will be designed mainly around the for the set module, although you can play point by point. I would imagine playing a 5-set match to come up with one team winner. The for the set module and the no rally module, which is how you finish the set, would probably be the best way to go for this particular league. So today we've taken the all-time greats set that I purchased. 32 of the greatest men and women to play the game, and put them on two teams, the Baltimore Banners and the Philadelphia Freedoms. Those are two of the teams that played originally in World Team Tennis. They played in the same section of the Eastern Division, the Atlantic section. And what I did is, going through the rules or the player sets, I pulled out players that had played in the actual World Team Tennis in the 1970s, or for newer players to fill out the rosters, had actually played in World Team Tennis. So today we have we've set the matches that men's doubles will come first, followed by women's singles, followed by women's doubles, followed by men's doubles, or men's singles, followed by mixed doubles. Mixed doubles will be the last match. Matches are played to 6 games, with the usual can go to a 7th game if for the extra time. Each team receives a point in the match for each game that they win, and at the end of 5 sets, the team with the lead is the winner. I'm using the 1976 rule set for matches because prior to 1976, matches could be over when one team had an insurmountable lead. Most of the time, the teams would play out the match for the entertainment value for the fans and not send them home early. In other cases, if it was a blowout of such proportions, the team coaches would agree to end the match at that point. We're playing the 1976 rules, which say that there really is no such thing as an insurmountable lead. There is overtime. If we get to the 5th set, or when we get to the 5th set, mixed doubles, if the team that is trailing in the match going into the mixed doubles wins that set and does not win the match continues with a mixed doubles continuing on until one of two things happens. And it's really the first of these two things happens. The team in the lead wins one game. That ends it. The trailing team wins enough games to tie the match. So it's kind of an all or nothing thing. If that is then tied, you go to the super tiebreaker, a 13-point, best of 13 point, and World Team Tennis was what's called no advantage scoring. So the game was 1-2-3 game. There was no deuce. It was a matter to keep things rolling along. So this lengthy introduction gets you set up for what we're doing. So we're going to hold off on what the matchups are until each match is ready. and all of these players have played in World Team Tennis. So in the mixed men's doubles, it'll be John Newcomb and Pete Sampras for Baltimore going up against Ken Rosewall and Vitas Gerulaitis for Philadelphia. And so with doubles, I've posted this on the Facebook page. With doubles, because you have two players, you have to factor in both players' qualities when you roll for the we'll get to what all this means in a minute. Take both players' qualities together and combine them, and then make the comparison to determine who's ahead in the match leading into the final thing. So the first thing in the For the Set module is you roll to see which qualities are in play for this particular match, or this particular set. And the roll is 52, 5-2, or actually 2-5, because you read the lower die first. Backhand and endurance are in play. So John Newcomb has a underlined backhand, which means he has the backhand quality twice. And the endurance, he has a single. So that gives him 3 qualities. Pete Sampras has the single backhand, single endurance. That gives Baltimore 5 qualities. And for Philadelphia, Ken Rosewall has double underlined backhand and endurance. That's 4. Plus backhand and double underlined endurance. That's 3 more. That's 7. So it's 7-5 in favor of Philadelphia. And that gives them a 2-point quality advantage, which gives them a small advantage. In the game module for singles, it's 0 difference is even. A 1 quality difference is called a small advantage. A 2 quality difference is a moderate advantage, and a more than 2 quality advantage is a large advantage. You just double that for playing with doubles. So a 2 quality advantage is small. A 4 quality advantage is moderate. Everything else is large. And so a 2 quality advantage. We now roll on the small advantage chart. We roll a 5. The advantage player, in this case, the advantage team, which was Philadelphia, trails in the set 5-4. So they're trailing 5-4. So we now go over to the favorite and underdog. In this particular play for World Team Tennis, it's home team, away team. So the home team is trailing. So the away team leads the set 5-4. We roll again. We roll a 9. And the trailing team wins the set 7-5. So Newcomb and Sampras defeat Rosewall and Gerulaitis 7-5. Baltimore has a 7-5 lead at the end of the first set. So we'll put these guys off to the side here, because now we have to introduce the women's singles match. And the women's singles match will feature Chris Everett of Baltimore and Billie Jean King of Philadelphia. Now, Billie Jean actually played on the 1974 Philadelphia Freedoms. Chris Everett entered the league in the second season playing for the Phoenix Rackets. So Chris didn't join the league in her first year, but she came for the second year. So again, we repeat this. The qualities here, we're going to see which qualities we have. The roll is a 35. Volley and endurance. Everett does not have volley, but she does have a double endurance. And King has a double volley, single endurance, so it's 3-2 in favor of King. So we revert back to the singles process. She has a 1 quality advantage, a small advantage. We'll roll on that. It's a 7. The advantage player leads the set 5-4. So Billie Jean leads 5-4. We roll one more time. The roll is a 10. And Billie Jean King wins the match 6-4. And at the end of the women's singles match, it's Baltimore 11, Philadelphia 11. So that's it's a tie match now after the women's singles. We now move on to men's doubles. And women's doubles, excuse me. For Baltimore, it's Virginia Wade and Margaret Court going up against Martina Navratilova and Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley. Now, Yvonne Goolagong was a member of the Pittsburgh Triangles in that league's first year. And in 1975, Martina Navratilova, after she defected from Czechoslovakia, was signed by the Boston Lobsters to play in World Team Tennis. So Virginia Wade played for the New York Sets her initial year in 1974. Margaret Court played a very brief and small part in WTT in 1976. So again, we're going to go look at the qualities here. And the role is a 16, forehand and savvy. Wade has a forehand and double savvy, and forehand double savvy. That's 6 qualities for Baltimore. Forehand double savvy, forehand savvy, 5 qualities for Philadelphia. So the away team is the advantage team. It's a small advantage. The roll is a 7. The advantage team leads the set 5-4. Woohoo! So that will be Wade and Court leading 5-4. The roll is a 2. It's a question. It's an unpredictable. There's a question mark. It's an unpredictable outcome. So we're not sure what's happening. It's 5-4 at this moment, but anything can change. We're going to roll and see the surface, the qualities. You had 13 forehand and volley. Count them up again. 3 for Wade, 3 for Court, 3 for Navratilova, 3 for Gulagon-Kali. It's even, so we use the even column here. You can't see it's off to the left here. And the roll is a 5. That the low team wins the tiebreak. That would be the home team or the away team. And so Wade and Court win over Navratilova and Gulagon 7-6. End of 3 sets. It is now 18-17 in favor of Baltimore. So now we're getting into men's singles. And for the Baltimore Banners, it will be Jimmy Connors going up against Andre Agassi. Agassi did play a few matches in the 90s for the 90s, early 2000s for the Freedoms, because World Team Tennis in the 90s and 2000s started signing star players like Venus Williams and Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras to what they called feature player contracts. They'd play 1 or 2 matches in the season for specific teams, and it helped to boost attendance for those matches, and it was a way for the league to give these guys some additional stuff. So Agassi did play in the league, and so it's Jimmy Connors, who did play for the real-life Baltimore Banners back in 1974. Side note, Connors and it was, can't remember who it was on the women's side. Connors was banned from the French Open that summer for because of his involvement with World Team Tennis, which was not sanctioned by the International Tennis Federation. So Connors, that year in '74, had he been eligible for the French Open and had he won it, he would have been one of 2 players to hold the Grand Slam in a single calendar year. Which would have been very interesting, but Connors had signed his contract with Baltimore. So we're back to using the singles. We roll for the qualities 24. It's backhand and footwork. Double backhand for Connors. Double backhand, double footwork for Agassi. So Agassi has a 2-quality lead, so moderate advantage. And 6 is the roll. The advantage player leads the set 5-4, so he leads 5-4. We roll again. The roll is a 4. It's a questionable outcome. We check qualities again. 35. Volley and endurance. 4 qualities for Connors. 1 quality for Agassi. So a large advantage for Connors. Connors comes up with a 7 and wins 7-5. And so Jimmy Connors now gives Baltimore... just give me 1 second here. Gives Baltimore a 25-22 lead as we head to the final set, which is mixed doubles. And I held the mixed doubles to last for a very important reason, because Baltimore is going to throw Jimmy Connors and Chris Everett out there, while Philadelphia will throw out Ken Rosewall and Billie Jean King. Rosewall was on the Pittsburgh Triangles that year. And we all know about Connors and Everett and their romance in the 70s. So I thought that'd be kind of a neat thing to do. Final set. So let's recap. It is 25-22 in favor of Baltimore. If Baltimore wins this set, if Everett and Connors beat Rosewall and King, the match is over. If Philadelphia wins the set and does not win the match as a result, then we go to overtime, and I'll explain overtime when we get there. So we're going to roll for the qualities. 33, volley and surface. Now the surface is hard court, and so using these cards, I'm going to use their normal ratings, but the World Team Tennis sets that I will create, all of the results that will be around that will all be hard court results because all the matches were played on hard court. So instead of the surface qualities being on the player cards, they will have singles, doubles, or mixed as qualities that will come into play in those if they play in those sets. So that it forces you into a realistic usage of players, in that if they're not rated for mixed doubles, they didn't play mixed doubles, so they would lose that little edge in an additional quality playing a mixed doubles match. So that's just a heads up for something that's coming there. So it's volley and surface. Connors has a double volley and he has a double hard. No volley for Chris Everett and double hard. So 6 qualities for Baltimore. Double volley, no hard for Rosewall. Double volley, hard for King. That's 5 qualities. So Baltimore holds a 1 quality small advantage. The roll is 10. The advantage player, that is Baltimore, leads the set 5-1. This is going to be ugly, folks. It's 6-3 is the final, and Connors and Everett beat Rosewall and King 6-3, and the final score for your match is Baltimore 31 and Philadelphia 25. I said it was ugly because there's only one way Philadelphia could have won that set, which was to hope for an unpredictable outcome. And in that unpredictable outcome, they would have probably won 7-5 or 7-6, which would have sent the match into overtime if it didn't end in a tie already. So final score, once again, Baltimore 31, Philadelphia 25. Super quick to play. I spend more time talking about what we're doing than the actual playing of the game. And I think that's what makes this a really good game on its face. Tennis is, a point-by-point game, but if you're playing a tournament of 64 players and each of the sets is a 3-set match, except for men's majors where they're 5-set matches, playing point by point, you can take a few days or a few weeks, depending on how often you're willing to play and how much you're willing to push yourself. It can take you weeks to play a single tournament. With this for the set module, you can get there and then using the no rally module, get the results to each set very, very quickly. And because the game is modular, if you get to, say, in a tournament, you play everything by the for the set no rally rules, and then the final could be point by point, or the final could be each set you play for the set up the scores, and switch over to point by point to see how it turns out. However you want to do it, it's kind of a neat idea for a sport like tennis that has all sorts of different ways that you can get there, and we're not forced to play point by point if we don't want to play point by point. And as you can see, you can play a World Team Tennis match in a fairly quick order, and so if you wanted to do a league, you could certainly do that. Speaking of leagues, if you wish to use any of the card sets you currently own for Let's Play Tennis, World Team Tennis rules are that there are 6 players on each team, 3 men, 3 women. No player may play in more than 2 sets of the 5 during the evening, so you can't bring Jimmy Connors on as the men's singles, men's doubles, and mixed double player. It forces teams to be more democratic in their usage of players, and so that's the roster rule. You can certainly play 2 players, 2 men, 2 women on a team, but then you're going to wind up being very tempted to overuse your very best player in any match. So 3 and 3, 6 players. So you can use, for the all-time great set, there are 64 players. That will make 5 men's and 5 women, 5 groups of men and 5 groups of women. So that group is probably, if you do it 3 at a time, it'll give you 10 sets of 3 men and 10 sets of 3 women. Then you can have 10 teams. If you want to do World Team Tennis the way it was originally, you're going to need for 16 teams to do the 1974 season, you're going to need 96 players. You're going to need 48 men and 48 women to do that. So right now, with the all-time great set, you can't use that set to create the original league while I'm rating these teams. But a larger set, you surely could be able to get 48 men and 48 women out of a much bigger set. Speaking of those rated teams, as I mentioned at the outset, I don't have a ratings book. I'm not asking for it. I'm not begging for it. I'm merely stating the fact that I don't have the ratings. So for me, I have to look at how the player performed in the season and try to find a matching player card among the many player cards that I have. I have all 3 sets that are available, and try and find that player and say, okay, those ratings are that person's ratings. And we can tweak them a little bit because there really is no other way to do it at the moment. So you're kind of replicating cards in some respect. I won't be directly replicating specific cards point for point. What I'm going to use is those as guidelines to try to figure out which players get double qualities, how many players get all 6 qualities, how many players get 5, how many get 3, and trying to figure out that combination of how to do that. So be patient with me, because it's going to be a while before I can pull that knowledge base together by examining the cards in sets that exist, trying to find the patterns. I guess that's what I'm saying, is I'm going to use the cards to find the patterns, and hopefully then the patterns will help me create the new World Team Tennis cards. Now, I will say this. When I do that, I'll use the movie thing, any resemblance to an actual card that exists is merely coincidental. I have noticed there are some patterns for the point-by-point games of how the return and winner ranges are built. I think that's because there's a formula, and so the possibility certainly exists that I would wind up using ratings that look very similar to existing cards. That'll be by, again, mere accident. I have no individual inside knowledge of that, nor do I seek that out. But I hope you have had a chance now in this 20 minutes or so to see the game in action, to decide whether it seems simplistic enough in terms of what you're looking for, but it can be as detailed or as simple and as quick as you want it to be. I like the game. I'm looking forward to creating a little World Team Tennis module out of the all-time greats. So I'm going to have 8 teams, and I'll use 8 of my favorite team nicknames from the original 16, and I'll start playing off some matches for that and see how team tennis goes when you're playing a whole season and not just one off for a video. So as always, I appreciate your attention and your wanting to watch the video, and appreciate any comments that you have. And as always, until we meet again, I wish you good gaming, good dice rolling, good night. So long, everybody.